to see our students, go from the classroom setting to then touching lives is wonderful. And the number one thing at PennWest is that we aren't just, and all of the programs are like this, we don't just lecture to them, we give them hands-on opportunities. So if we talk about the wonderful miracle of birthing a baby, then we get up and we go to the mannequins and we say, okay, we talked about this, we're learning about this, now let's do it.
Bold ideas, inspiring stories, dynamic experiences. I'm your host, Dr. John Anderson, president of PennWest. Welcome to the Power of PennWest podcast. Welcome to the Power of PennWest podcast. I'm your host, Dr. John Anderson. And today we're spotlighting a transformative moment in PennWest's journey. This summer, PennWest proudly launched 3 new academic schools: the School of Education, the School of Business, and the School of Nursing. These schools represent more than just a structural change. They're a bold step forward in aligning our academic strengths with the needs of today's students and tomorrow's workforce. In today's 2-part episode, we'll dig into exactly what this means for PennWest. In part 1, we sit down with students and faculty from each of these programs to hear firsthand how these changes are shaping their experiences and aspirations. Our guests in part 1 include Dr. Jo Melvin, a proud 1975 and 1990 alum and longtime faculty member at Edinboro. She's been shaping young minds since 1990 and is a key part of the Little Learners program. She is the namesake of the Jo Melvin Literacy Center, a student-friendly literature resource room at the Edinboro campus. Dr. Melvin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, for inviting me. It's an honor.
Looking forward to it. Next, we have Christian Ola, Associate Professor of Finance with a special focus on behavioral finance and personal financial literacy. Before stepping into education full-time 18 years ago, Ola spent 17 years in residential lending, working in underwriting, secondary market pricing, and both wholesale and correspondent lending. And I also understand, Professor Ola, that you have 2 recent graduates of PennWest.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And my son graduated from Edinboro, that campus in December, and my daughter graduated in May from the California campus. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, congratulations twice, Dad. That's got to be a
Thanks.
proud accomplishment. And I certainly enjoyed the opportunity to guest speak in your class last year. That was a great time.
We loved having you, and Rachel was actually there too.
Yes. Dr. Randilyn Lewis, a dedicated educator and leader in maternal, newborn, and forensic nursing, is next, and she's also here with us today. As an instructor at Pennsylvania Western University and a clinical education specialist at UPMC Northwest, Randilyn brings over 14 years of experience to the table. Dr. Lewis, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Next, we've got some students. Rachel Chobany is a senior at our California campus, majoring in accounting with a minor in finance. She's a leader on campus as a peer mentor coordinator, a member of the accounting club, and part of the California cheer team. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And as a student, Hannah Rake is a junior at PennWest Clarion studying early childhood and elementary education. As president of Clarion's SPSEA chapter and state president-elect of the student PSEA, Hannah is passionate about empowering future educators through leadership, service, and hands-on impact on local schools. Hannah, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
So that is the group for our first section. In part 2, we'll be joined by deans and directors of the new schools to explore the vision behind this transformation, the strategic goals ahead, and what it means for the future of PennWest. But for now, we will have the opportunity to talk to the faculty and students in each of these schools and see how their experience has been 2 days into the fall semester. So as chaos has resumed on campus, it has been so fun. I hit all 3 campuses this weekend, seeing life return, parking lots full, people in residence halls. It has been so great to have life back. So welcome to all of you. Let's begin by having each of our faculty members talk a little bit about what it means to have a new school and some of the things that they may hope happen as a result of that decision. Dr. Jo Melvin, let's start with you.
I like having the school, Dr. Anderson, because it gives us an opportunity, I think, to showcase the impactfulness and the prestigious careers that we can provide for our students. You know, I look at the School of Education as a launch pad for change. And I think since we have our three campuses pulling together, we have such a wealth of knowledge from our faculty and such good ideas that it provides us an opportunity to offer so much more to our students. You know, after today's class, I just left it. Those students are excited. They are happy to be here. I engaged in the events over the weekend, and those students are happy. You know, they know they're part of the School of Education. There's ownership there. And I think when there's ownership, you buy into that and the results are tenfold. So I think it's a win-win situation for everyone involved.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Lewis, tell us about your experience in the School of Nursing. How has that adjustment been for you?
I think this is a wonderful opportunity to collaborate. Again, I'm going to echo Mary's sentiments about collaboration. You know, the wonderful power really of PennWest is being able to come together and allow students to collaborate between all three campuses. You're getting experts from all three, which allow all students to gain that exponential amount of experience and wisdom. Nurses are always one part of an entire team that takes care of patients and their communities. And starting them in this collaborative, open communication really sets the tone for exceptional nurses going forward. I think that creating a school of nursing allows us to focus, like Mary was mentioning too, on what our communities need, not just around us, but even nationally as well, and really give our graduates a, like she said, launch pad to being what their dreams are, whether it's a short-term goal or even a long-term goal. Our collaboration in our School of Nursing allows you to start from, if you want to be an associate's level, like an entry-level nurse, or if you're starting as a bachelor's degree nurse, entry-level nurse, and it lets them give the opportunity to grow clear to an end terminal degree of a doctorate. So the opportunities are endless with this.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Professor Ola, tell us about the School of Business. How has this impacted your work?
It's been fantastic. And to be very candid and transparent, we kind of, in the School of Business, almost had a precursor to this a couple years ago when they combined our department with communications. And that was eye-opening as well. And I think my peers will also agree, you were also sort of consolidated or combined. And that the students certainly benefit from that, Dr. Anderson, with respect to getting insight from different professors as well as different students on different campuses. And it was kind of enjoyable the last few years to have student athletes or Rachel with cheer, or I have folks in theater and band to suddenly be in classes with students that they might be competing against on Saturday on the football field or going to a concert with or something like that. So that in itself was neat. But then number two, from a professional standpoint, it kind of helped me reinvent myself as well and open my eyes to maybe new ways of thinking about things I had done so long, and I don't want to say monotonously, but we get in a rut. And 2 or 3 years ago, to have that rut filled in with Dr. Gibson and her crew out of communication and Juanice and her wonderful faculty that's up in Clarion, it's a real eye opener. And so I think the power of collaboration. I'm also blessed to work with interns on a regular basis, and that has just opened up these doors threefold. So I was typically, I don't want to say stuck, but almost consolidated with the southwestern Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio area. And now suddenly to have students say, hey, I'm going to go work in Buffalo for the summer, or I'm going to go to Penn State or Altoona and work in the summer. It's been extremely advantageous to our students in that respect. It's really magnified their opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you. I'd love to study how organizations work. And years ago, I heard a talk by a DVD Howard Schultz gave about the time he was starting Starbucks. And he said something there that has completely rung true to me everywhere that I've been. And that was his biggest challenge was trying to figure out how he could grow the company big, how they could grow big and stay small. And this is exactly what we're doing with the schools at PennWest. We will continue to grow and thrive as a university. We'll get up to 11,000 beyond. The numbers will increase, but how do we grow as an institution and still feel small to a student? So they're part of a small local community. They're part of a network of people who are studying similar things. And this to me is the genius of the school. We now have 3 of them. I hope at some point we have more. These were built on 3 of our largest departments. And so the student doesn't come to PennWest and say, I'm lost. I'm one of 10, 11, 12,000 students. I'm just stuck here. I'm a number. No, they come here and all of a sudden they are, from the moment they get here, a member of a school community. And they get a chance to work with the same group of people. Even like in business, they may change their major. Maybe they go from finance to accounting, but it's the same group of people, same focus, spread across all of Western Pennsylvania. And I think it's a way for us not to lose any student. And so they feel like they're part of something smaller from the beginning, even though we are the second largest public institution in all of Western Pennsylvania. So let's hear from our students. Rachel, tell us a little about your experience in the School of Business 2 days in. I know you've been a student before, but how's this transition been for you?
I think that, like everybody said, like combining the schools really gave me a larger sense of community and the ability to interact with people from different schools that we all go to. We came from relatively smaller schools within the state, and just being able to see people from Clarion or Edinboro and be like, we have that in common. And I even did an internship over the summer where my manager, she went to Clarion and we had the same professor. So we were able to kind of bond over that. And I just think that that really gives you a lot more opportunities to kind of bond with people from other places around Pennsylvania.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rachel. And Hannah, share with us your experience 2 days in.
Yeah, so I just started my first day of classes today, but it's really nice. Like you said, I've never once felt like a number or a statistic. In every single one of my classes, I feel seen, which is wild in a big university. All of my professors know my name, professors from other campuses know my name. And like Rachel was saying, it's really nice to have that community. Even if I don't totally know somebody from Edinboro or California, it's really easy to, oh, we both go to PennWest, we can talk about that. I went to Portland over the summer, and there was actually 3 of us there at this conference from PennWest, one from each of the campuses. And we really became kind of a close, tight-knit little group because we had that in common. And it was just really easy to get along with them.
Thank you, Hannah. That is exactly what I hope happens for all of our students. They feel like a close bond with those who are close to them in their same major, but yet connected to a larger organization. That's a great example. Thank you. So let's hear from the faculty a little bit more about what you hope comes in the future out of these schools. We've created them now. They're in force. We're going to try to raise some money around them, get our alumni involved. Dr. Melvin, tell us about the future for the School of Education.
Well, I think it's very promising from what I've heard and what I've seen. We have a good name out there. And, I get calls every week regarding, do you have any teachers for me? We're looking for teacher candidates. Because of our outreach into the schools and the different things that we're doing, partnering with the high schools, we're getting into the schools early on. We have the ability to do that now. I think they're learning more and more about what we have to offer to them. We're doing so much more with programs like Borough Teach and micro-credentialing and everything, that we're getting into these schools early on. And we're providing opportunities for students to earn credits and then to come to our campuses, and they already have 9 credits, 12 credits. We're giving them a jump start on their education, and they love that. With all the camps that we are providing and the different opportunities throughout the year, like Pi Day and Literacy Days, again, we're getting our name out there and we're showing them what we are all about and what we can offer them. So, they want to come back to campus. I think we are on a very positive path for sure.
Excellent. Thanks, Dr. Melvin. And I think it's so great that this may seem so simple, but now someone in an intermediate unit or a high school, when they're talking about students who want to become teachers or the pipeline for teachers, it'll click in their mind, oh yeah, PennWest has a school of education that does that. All we need is that link. And then we can be the call, and then we can step in. And all of the things you mentioned are exactly what I hoped, and I think all of us hoped would come out of that. Those tight-knit community relationships. So we'll be the first choice. When someone says, we need some educators that do this, whatever it is, counseling, speech language pathology, anything that happens in school, teachers, oh, PennWest got a school of education. Let's talk to them. And I think that's starting to happen.
You are correct, because I just got a call the other day, and they are already booking for March. They want us to come and speak to them in March. I've heard from 2 of the technical schools. They want us to bring students on board so that their students can see and hear what our students are all about. So the word is definitely out there.
That is very good. Thank you. Dr. Lewis, talk to us about the future of the School of Nursing. What does that look like from your perspective?
Yeah, so the School of Nursing and this opportunity is really going to open, it's already starting to open to meet the needs of communities and our nation. Nurses are a shortage, and not only just nurses, but also specialties, right? So what's happening in the education department is actually amazingly happening for the School of Nursing as well. As you know, we received a HRSA grant to offer, it's a federal grant to offer a specialized educational program for nurses. There is a nationwide, and especially in our rural area, a shortage in forensic nurses. So our School of Nursing has just graduated their first cohort of sexual assault nurse examiners. This semester, we started our second cohort, so that's great. What those programs do is it's not just, receiving another certificate. It's providing services to those that in many areas, part of this program was to recognize that we had to pool how many nurses were available to care for those in rural areas. And in many hospitals, there were none or maybe one. So this is anywhere from pediatrics up to older adults. So it's the continuum. So that's something that's very special as well. We are the only program that offers that SANE A, which is adults and adolescents, and pediatrics as well. The School of Nursing is also looking at using those credits to offer if you're growing in your nursing career path. It's also allowing, using those credits, graduate credits and those hours to also serve to help you grow as either a nurse practitioner credits or DMP credits. Also, things that are happening, just like in the education department, is our graduates are getting noticed and their hard work is also being noticed. So we've had multiple areas reach out to us. Our local Venango County heard about the work that we are doing here at PennWest. And because they know that we are growing forensic nurses, they're in the works already, offering a child advocacy center. And the first thing that they said was, we want your graduates. We want your nurses. We want them to be a part of this, to offer these services to children. Also, we've had leadership from organizations reach out and say that our PennWest graduates, they're go-getters. They're engaged. PennWest was actually the second largest amount of student nurse interns for an entire organization. So not just in this rural area, but throughout the entire organization as well. So this opportunity is going to allow us to grow and give them more opportunities as well.
That's excellent. Thank you. Some of our listeners may wonder what a forensic nurse is. Can you give us a little definition of what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So a forensic nurse is any nurse that receives specialized training in trauma-informed care. We like to think that trauma is something that is rare and we don't talk about it a lot, but is actually extremely common. And, handling someone that maybe dealt with something very trauma in the remote or very recent or ongoing, either past or present, is something that's very specialized. And so these nurses receive specialized training to be able to offer trauma-informed care. And then also they specialize in photography. They specialize in caring for patients in a medical forensic. They have been exposed to any sexual or child maltreatment or any type of intimate partner or domestic violence.
Great. Thank you for defining that for us. And I'm so glad that we have that niche. That is something unique to us that helps us serve the area of Western Pennsylvania better. Professor Ola, I think every strong university needs a school of business, and we now have one. So tell us what that future looks like.
Thank you for that, first of all. I know that I was excited when we got that news. I think Dr. Melvin and Dr. Lewis really summarized very nicely the power that comes with their schools. Only to add to that, a couple of different things. It's kind of interesting and neat now to utilize, and I'm going to go business terms here, but these economies of scale that we've been able to establish, right? Because now all of a sudden, there's an incredible group of professors and students and administrators on 3 different campuses collectively working toward common goals for students. And that's rare. So I've had the privilege of doing a couple orientation days this summer, and all the buzz about artificial intelligence this, artificial intelligence that. So many parents and students in the crowds were like, "Oh my gosh, it was so nice to have a human element attached to hearing this artificial intelligence side of things." And I think it might have been Hannah who said that the professors know your name. Rachel could echo the same sentiments, and your ability to take a large institution and make it seem incredibly small on the community side is incredibly powerful. So and then leverage it. So for instance, last fall, my peer, Dr. Pfeiffer from Edinboro, traveled with Dr. Lee to the CFA Society meeting in September in Pittsburgh. And there were 9 or 10 schools represented there. Of those 9 or 10 schools, PennWest had the most students there. And when you start doing that, employers start to take notice. The communities we work with start to take notice. And those are the rural communities that Dr. Lewis and Dr. Melvin address, right? It's just because we are Pittsburgh, that doesn't mean there's not a Greensburg or a New Stanton or a Johnstown or a Du Bois or a Brookville out there. And all of a sudden, those communities are saying, wait a minute, Dr. Lewis, you have a nurse coming out of Edinboro who's actually from this area. We'd love to employ him or her when they get out of here. And I know, Dr. Melvin, the same thing with your educators. So business is the same sort of thing. So from the School of Business, we're really hopeful to continue to leverage those resources that maybe I'm not familiar with someone in Buffalo, New York, but Dr. Engdahl is, or Juanice is familiar with a manufacturing company in Purchase Line, Pennsylvania, and they need someone with those skill sets on logistics or whatnot. So it's economies of scale speak for himself.
Excellent. You described that so well. Thank you, Professor Ola.
Thanks.
Hannah, let's hear from you now about your career path. At some point in the near future, you're going to graduate from the School of Education at Pennsylvania Western University. What do you hope to do next?
I hope to get a job somewhere close to home, probably to start, but I'm very interested in like 3rd, 4th grade. When I graduate, probably initially, I do plan on getting my master's from PennWest. We have a partnership with PSEA that allows us to use some micro credentials and just make that whole process a little smoother. But so probably master's, and then like 3rd to 5th grade is kind of my sweet spot. But I also have like a passion for STEM. So I see a lot of school districts in this area creating like STEM specials to, mix in with their art and their music and stuff. So I think that would be a great position for me as well.
Excellent, Hannah. Thank you. Share with us, if you don't mind, the moment you decided you were going to commit your professional life to the field of education. When did you want to become a teacher?
I feel like if you ask most education majors that, they're going to have this huge, story. Mine's a little different. I actually, before deciding to go to college, I went to Jeff Tech. It's a career technical school for computer network engineering. And I was dead set on being like a network technician. But I realized as much as I love technology, that was not for me. So I ended up taking 2 gap years, and I really reflected back to my time in elementary and middle school. And I thought about every single year, if you asked whatever grade I was in, I would say, I want to be a 2nd grade teacher. I want to be a 3rd grade teacher. So I came to PennWest for education, not totally sure, but being here and doing it every day and having the hands-on field experiences that I've gotten to have makes me reassured every single day I walk into a classroom.
That's great. Thank you, Hannah. Rachel, talk to us a little about your journey. How did you pick accounting and finance?
So, like Hannah said, my journey here was not linear in any aspect. I came into my first year here as a radiology technology major, and you see how that's a complete 360 from where I'm at now. And I just really didn't know where I wanted to be, but going to college, and two of my brothers came to Cal. I toured it, and I was like, I love this campus. My brothers have great professions now and they're doing really well in life. So I'm like, this seems like a great fit for me. Close enough to home, far enough away from home that I'm still close to everything that I know. But changed my major to undecided once I realized that that wasn't for me. And then I changed it to math and then kind of condensed that down to I want something applicable and something that gives me a lot of flexibility to kind of go wherever I want to with my major. And that was accounting for me. And I've always been good at math, so that really did help out. I decided to switch my major to accounting, and finding Dr. Ola through this program has been the most helpful thing ever. And he's helped me with kind of deciding what I want to do with my path. And through that, he helped me apply for some jobs that he's found and just kind of giving me those opportunities that is kind of difficult for you to find by yourself. Through the past summer, I did an internship at PNC that I just got offered a full-time position for next year through. So that's my plan for after graduation this December.
Excellent. It's so great to see those internships or experiential learning turn into permanent employment. So congratulations, Rachel. Let's go back to our School of Education. Dr. Melvin, talk to us a little bit about your relationships with students. You've taught here for a long time, impacted a significant number of students. What is it like for you when you see a student you've taught in the classroom walk in and take control of their first classroom? What is that experience like for you?
Oh, it's wonderful. I can't even put into words. I was asked to do a talk a few weeks ago for Totes of Appreciation, and there were over 300 teachers there, and many of them were Edinboro graduates, and they came up to me. You don't remember me, but I still do this in my classroom that I learned in your class, and it just validates me and who I am and what I'm doing. And when you've been doing it as long as I've been doing, sometimes you second guess yourself. But if I could just take a moment, Dr. Anderson, I had a student come in the other day, and I was really thinking, should I have stayed another year? And she gave me a card and she gave me a hug and she said, Dr. Melvin, this is for you. And when she left, I read the card and she said, every now and then in life, you meet someone who makes you believe in yourself and become the person that you were meant to be. And for me, Dr. Melvin, that person was you. And I just started crying. I thought, yes, this is why I'm here, and this is why I do what I do each and every day. And my message to my students and those 300 teachers, my message was, when you go into a classroom, be present. Don't just show up. Be present and make relationships, because those relationships are what you will carry with you the rest of your life. That's what I've had at Edinboro all these years.
What a great story. Thank you for sharing that amount of personal connection. Dr. Lewis, tell us about what that experience is like for you. And you teach a lot in the classroom, then in a clinical setting. You get a chance to watch students work on mannequins, and then they see their first patient. When you observe that, what is that experience like for you?
There's honestly there aren't even words to explain to watch a student come in their first day, because I teach in the first year, and to watch them, the first day we ask them, what's your name? Why do you want to be a nurse? What drove you to this program? And they always share, we want to help people. There was this kind nurse that was good to me, or I want to offer a better experience than I've already had. And I get to watch them grow every semester. And when a light comes on that they've really touched someone else's life through clinicals, there's nothing better. There is absolutely nothing better. I had a similar situation as Dr. Melvin. And we get to see that in nursing because nurses are innately like educators and even business as well. They're caring, compassionate individuals. And to watch them see their dreams become a reality is there's nothing better at it as an educator is just watching them grow throughout the semesters and their programs. And we get to see that in like short period of time, and we get to see them in long periods of time. Our School of Nursing is partnered with like the Daisy Foundation, and so we open that up and allow patients and community members to recognize our students for what they do. And we just gave our first Daisy Award to our student. It was a second year student as she graduated, a BSN student from each of our campuses and each of our programs, that the communities and patients' lives were touched by them. And to see them grow and even be recognized, this is something that people voluntarily sign and write about them. So to see our students, go from the classroom setting to then touching lives is wonderful. And the number one thing at PennWest that I always proud ourselves in is that we aren't just, and all of the programs are like this, we don't just lecture to them, we give them hands-on opportunities. So if we talk about the wonderful miracle of birthing a baby, then we get up and we go to the mannequins and we say, okay, we talked about this, we're learning about this, now let's do it. So that way, when all of our graduates graduate, they are confident in their abilities. And, then they've been thrown into opportunities that are also that they could, they want to work there within organizations. The organizations already know them, and just letting them see their dreams come to reality, and that PennWest offers that to them.
That's excellent. Thank you. Professor Ola, you mentioned earlier about the meeting in Pittsburgh. We had a bunch of students come down to the CFA, start to meet with professionals. What is it like for you when you see someone you've taught in the classroom transition into the professional role on graduation or close to it?
Oh, it's awesome. And, one of the greatest guilty pleasures, and I think Dr. Melvin and Dr. Lewis are going to agree, and also Dean Vega, is it's great to start a student out and watch them grow. But when you get that text message or that email that says, Dr. Ola, I got the job, that is so gratifying I know we're not in a contract here, so I can say I would almost do this without pay sometimes. When you get that message, it's awesome when that happens, and it happens so often, right? And then the other guilty pleasure is watching that student go to a first year professional and then growing to another job, and then the power of coming back 3 or 4 years later and saying, Dr. Ola, I need someone to fill my job because I got promoted. Do you have a quality marketing student? Do you have a quality finance or accounting student to come in and replace me because I got promoted? And then it just creates its own legacy. So I've had the privilege of starting a couple businesses and selling them in my life. And that's fun too, because this is almost like that. When they come in that first classroom, this is your business. This is your baby. You're going to grow it, and then you have to let it go. And that's really what happens a lot of times. So it's I probably don't have the letters and the emails that Dr. Melvin and Dr. Lewis do, but I can tell you firsthand that legacy goes beyond 4 years in the classroom, sometimes into our accelerated MBA programs, sometimes into the workforce. So it's astounding, and it's so gratifying.
That's excellent. Thank you. It's so fun to hear your stories. Dr. Melvin, Dr. Lewis, Professor Ola, thank you for taking time to join us today. To our students, especially Rachel and Hannah, really enjoyed hearing about your experience in the new schools. And I think we all share the same hope and optimism about what will happen when people understand the focus we're using to help students leave PennWest prepared to make a difference immediately in the communities and organizations they work in and serve. So thank you for joining us today on the Power of PennWest podcast. Our guests in part 2 include, first, Dr. Tim Stevenson, Associate Dean of the College of Education, Arts and Humanities, and Executive Director of the School of Education at PennWest. With 24 years in education, Tim brings deep expertise in school policy and community engagement. Dr. Stevenson, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Next, Juanice Vega is the Associate Dean of the College of Science, Technology, and Business and the Executive Director of the School of Business. With a strong background in academic leadership and workforce development, Juanice brings a wealth of experience from her previous roles at Clarion and LSU. Juanice, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Our third guest today is Craig Coleman. He is the Interim Dean of the College of Health Sciences and Human Services. A nationally recognized expert in fluency disorders, Craig has led major professional organizations, published extensively, and presented over 200 times on stuttering and clinical leadership. Craig, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Well, I've been looking forward to this section, following up on the time we had the chance to meet with faculty in each of the three new schools, students to hear their experience, and to hear how they're able to build camaraderie in smaller parts of a large PennWest so that those students can feel like they've got a small home in a big organization. But all of us know that the sausage of higher education is very detailed and very difficult to make. And often faculty can walk into a classroom and feel like, hey, the lights work, the computer's on, I get a chance to teach, and think it just kind of happens on its own. They think that students just kind of show up, but there is a mountain of administrative work performed by people like the three of you to make the flow of the university just seem like it happens. If you see any of our three guests walking across campus and they maybe look a little tired or stressed, it's because they put in hours and hours just to make sure every student, every faculty has a positive experience in and outside the classroom. So I want us to focus on how academic administration works, what we hope to get out of these three schools, what the three of you do on a daily basis. Let's start with you, the School of Education. Talk to us about this new role on campus, Associate Dean and Executive Director, how it works and how the School of Education functions.
You did a great lead in with the behind the scenes. To your point, what I see my role as the Executive Director is to make it so that when my faculty go into the classroom, all they need to focus on is teaching and their students. I don't want them going in worrying about scheduling issues or technology issues or any other student issues that maybe they have had in their advising roles. So I ask them to bring that to me as much as possible, and I do my best to kind of ameliorate those issues for them so that they can just focus on the goal of teaching and connecting with our students. All of our schools are, as you said, are highly complex. Not only are we dealing with our schedules and our classrooms here on campus, we have a lot of complex partnerships outside of PennWest, which all of this works together symbiotically to bring students and administrators, school partnerships, business partnerships to the university, all for the benefit of our students while they're here with us at PennWest, and more importantly, when they leave us and go out into that workforce.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Juanice, talk to us a little bit about the School of Business. How do you approach that work and how does it function?
So I was really excited when PennWest decided to draw this focus to these three schools. You know, these are three of the larger programs across our academic array of programs and programming. So I thought it was very timely that we bring a little bit of recognition to those areas. For the School of Business, you know, we've really been working a lot this past few months on entrepreneurship. We have new credentials that will be coming out. We'll be launching a new institute this year. So a lot of that work has been happening as a lead-in to the School of Business announcement.
Excellent. Thank you, Juanice. And Craig, thank you for joining us. You fill an important role right now as a dean over one of the colleges. We have kind of a unique organizational structure in academic affairs, and I think it is one that other schools will follow, in that we have colleges that run kind of the administrative function. And we have just three of them across a fairly large institution. And that's to focus administrative efforts to run those efficiently as possible. And then we have these three schools that allow focused areas of engaging community in specific disciplines. And it allows the executive directors to do a lot of the important work of community engagement, building collaboration between students and faculty without having to worry about the administrative burden, which is significant, and it's managed by deans like yourself. So Craig, talk to us a little about how you approach your work as a dean, and then how you work with the executive director of the School of Nursing.
So let me first say, Dr. Nikki Ivanek is the new executive director of the School of Nursing. Dr. Ivanek brings a lot of experience as the chair of our nursing department, and also experience in the field of nursing as a leader as a nurse. In healthcare, you have a really interesting opportunity, I think, as far as collaboration goes, and I think that's trickles down to our college. And ultimately that leads to the student experience, right? Like that's what we shoot for, is making the student experience as best as we possibly can. And I think in any health profession or health related field, that relates to the 3 Ps. It's first creating partnerships. All of our students in all of our programs, including the School of Nursing, need to have clinical placements and clinical opportunities. They need to go out there in the field and practice their skills. So you need to establish partnerships with your community to be able to do that. We're fortunate to have a number of different providers that we work with through our college and the communities, and have those partnerships to be where students can get good experiences. I think it's promotion is the second P, and promoting our programs so that people know the good work that our departments do. Our nursing program is exceptional. We have exceptionally strong NCLEX pass rates, where students pass the national exam. We have partnerships with PA Thrive and other organizations within our department. And that gets to the third P, which is the professional collaboration. Most successful healthcare units run on interprofessional collaboration, where you have a number of different programs working together within a hospital setting, within another healthcare setting. And we try to establish the same mechanism within our college, where we have our School of Nursing, but they get to collaborate with organizations like PA Thrive. They get to collaborate with our speech language pathology students, with our psychology and counseling students, with our social work students. So I think it's a really good opportunity for students to learn in a way that is hands-on and that promotes what they'll be doing out in the real world, which is collaboration.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And that key to collaboration is so important, I think, as we move forward, because underlying everything we do with AI, internet, all these other things that are changing so quickly, and our rapid ability to translate new research into medicines, into practice, all of that is going to force us in all the right ways to collaborate across disciplines in ways we haven't in the past. So I'm grateful that is a key part of what we're doing. Let's take a minute now. I know that this episode is on the schools themselves, and you've done a great job talking about what they will do and how they're organized and how you as an academic administrator approach that work. But I'd like for each of you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Did you wake up one morning and think, I want to be an associate dean and executive director of a school of education? Or did you wake up when you were like 12 thinking, I don't have a clue what I want to do, but someday I'll figure it out? So why don't each of you share with us your journey? I know that is the power of PennWest, is our ability to connect to each other and learn from each other. Juanice, let's start with you. How did you get to where you are?
So I'm just going to start by saying I'm still figuring it out. I took as some of our students mentioned, they took a very nonlinear path. I certainly did that. I started my college career at a local community college in my hometown, thinking I wanted to be a physical therapist, and took my first chemistry course and very quickly decided, no, science was not going to be my thing. After that, I tried a couple of other things. I was one of those major jumpers that first couple of years. And second semester of my junior year, after I had left community college and I was then at a 4-year institution, that's when I finally landed on finance. I had been in business for probably about a semester at that point. So I had had the flavors of all the basics. So, accounting, finance, marketing, management, HR. And I really connected and enjoyed that the more detailed finance courses that I took. And then from there, once I graduated, I didn't feel like I was ready to graduate, didn't feel like it was time to adult. So stayed another year and got my MBA. And then my first job ended up being, as you pointed out, at Louisiana State University. I had never envisioned that I would work in a university setting. Loved it, worked at they have the Louisiana Business and Technology Center on campus, which is a business incubator and technology advancer. And they have a partnership with NASA. So it was very eye-opening. And as I jumped into that work, I found that I just loved that connection between workforce, businesses, and the technology that comes out of universities, and the whole business creation that can take place from that overlap. Moved to Clarion. I've been here since 1994, which makes me the most elder in this group here, I think. But I love it. Clearly I've enjoyed what I've done, or I wouldn't have stayed with it this long.
That's great. What a journey. And you're only just beginning. It'll be fun to see what your next few decades look like.
Right.
Tim, let's go to you next. Tell us your path to your current position.
Well, much like Juanice, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. And my path has been very winding. Going all the way back to high school, I was working as a groundskeeper at a golf course through most of my time in high school, and also working at the time was a local teacher. He happened to be a band director, and I happened to be in the band. And he was a little gruff to get to know at first, at least on the outside, but he decided that what I really needed to do was I needed to participate in a local community band that he ran. So, okay, I will do that. So I started doing a lot more performing and playing. And as I got to the end of high school, not knowing what I really wanted to do, I decided, well, I might as well be a band director. I'm okay at this whole music thing. So I went through, I did my undergrad, and I spent the first 15 years of my career in music education and as a junior, senior high school band director. And while I was in there, I decided, well, I really do like to perform, so I might as well do a performance degree. So I did a performance degree and kind of delved into that world a little bit, and then decided that I really wanted to be able to feed my family, so probably should not do that full time. And all while this is going on, my wife, who is also elementary teacher, we were talking about, our experiences day in and day out. And the experience that popped up was less about what we were teaching, but the students that would come to us and confide in us, and students that didn't seem to have advocates elsewhere. As I went through that process, what I just finally decided I wanted to do was I wanted to be the person that could help to shape the teachers that were coming into the schools to work with these kids, so that they would have someone there for them when they felt like they had no one else. So I made a hard shift, and I don't want to say I left music. I still perform. I love music, but I went into curriculum and instruction and focused on school policy and administration. All while doing this, I was teaching, still in my high school job, I was teaching undergrad courses, graduate courses, finally finished my terminal degree, which was a great relief, and taught for a few more years. And then a job opened up at what was Clarion University at the time. And I came on as the field director, working specifically with all things student teaching. And I came in at the same time as a brand new school of education director, Gwen Price, and we worked in tandem all through this whole process. PennWest became and evolved, and Gwen has since moved on to some other things, and my job and role kept changing, and I moved away from student teaching and into a much deeper administrative role. And here I am today. The School of Education has gone through many iterations since I've been here. It was a school, and then it was a college, and then it was a department within a college. And now we're a school again, which we're very excited about. It really gives us a lot more visibility and leverage, and allows us to showcase what we have to offer separate from some of our other programs. And we'll see where we go next. As I said, I still don't know what I want to do. but I'm pretty happy where I am right now, doing what I'm doing, doing my small part to influence the next generation of teachers.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tim. Craig, talk to us about your journey.
Going back to what you asked about what we wanted to do when we were 12, I'm pretty sure I was convinced I was going to be a Major League Baseball player when I was 12. I kind of held on to that till college, and I played baseball my first year at Pitt while I was a pre-med student, and decided that I really probably shouldn't do either of those things moving forward after my freshman year. It was very hard to be a student and athlete at a D1 level in terms of the time commitment. I knew I wanted to do something in a health related field. I wasn't sure it was medicine. And I remember, I think early my sophomore year, I had a meeting with my advisor, and they were about 15 minutes late. And during that meeting, I picked up a few brochures for different fields. I got one for speech language pathology, and I was like, wow, this looks like a really interesting field. So I decided to take a class in it, and the rest is kind of history. I stayed at Pitt for my master's degree. I worked clinically at Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh for 12 years as a speech language pathologist and ran our stuttering center there. The last 4 or 5 years I was there, I was also teaching a grad course at a local college as an adjunct on stuttering, and really liked that, really liked working with students, and kind of along with Tim's point, decided that, I can probably influence a lot more people here by teaching students who then go out and work with their own patients. So, in 2012, I took a position at Marshall University as a full-time professor. Was there for 7 years, got promoted, got tenure, was very happy and stable, and got a call one day from a colleague that I had at Edinboro who was associate dean at the time and said, hey, we might need somebody to come here and be the chair of our speech language pathology department. Would you be interested? And I will always remember this because it was like 2 days before Christmas that year. And I was not really looking to move. And I said, well, let's talk about it. So I came here in 2019 to Edinboro, was the chair of our speech path department here for 3 years before we integrated to PennWest, and then was the first chair of CSD at PennWest before moving into associate dean and then dean last year. The thing that I really like about being in the dean position is that I still get to work with speech language pathology. But going back to my earlier point about the collaboration that's necessary in healthcare, I get to work with our nursing department, our social work and sociology department, psychology, counseling, and art therapy, exercise science and health science. And I think that that really has broadened my scope a lot in terms of just the importance of working with other closely tied professions to ensure the benefit of the patients that our students and our professionals see.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that review. It's great to hear, and I think it's very good for our community to hear all of the paths you take, because we have a lot of students who may look at an executive director, associate dean, a dean, and say, I have no clue what you do. It looks interesting, and I have no idea how I would get there if I choose to do it. And so thank you for being willing to share your stories. As we prepare to wrap up, I want to hear from each of you about looking ahead. What do you think the next steps or goals are to continue to evolve the school you're involved with, the school you're leading, and how it will help PennWest's future? Juanice, let's start with you. What does the future of the School of Business look like?
Well, I think it looks very bright, first of all. We've been working very hard to strengthen our community relationships, to work toward more timely, relevant curriculum for our students so that as they enter the workforce, they're on the cutting edge. I think that will include, a very well-rounded base general education, and then, the appropriate amount of courses in their area of specialty so that they can go out and really start to make an impact in their chosen field. We'll be engaging a lot more this next year with our external advisory board, and they'll bring in a wealth of information from the industries that they're all a part of. And we'll use that to help influence our curriculum moving forward. We'll also be engaging with the alumni office and donors, and The primary reason that we'll be doing that is to get their perspective also on what trends are happening in the business world right now and what we need to be aware of, but also to help increase funding opportunities for our students. Since we're primarily a first generation college, we do lose a fair portion of our students because of financial reasons. So I'd really like to strengthen that pool so that we have some more safety nets for our students to help them reach the goals that they have when they arrive, and to help get them to the finish line.
Excellent. Thank you. Tim, what is the future of the School of Education? What does that look like for you?
The future of the school looks fantastic. We have so many innovative partnerships happening right now, and any good teacher would tell you that to be successful in the classroom, it's all about networking and community. And that can be within the school, that could be within the community at large, or even larger, that we have IUs, we have whole county-wide systems in place for our schools. And what we are doing and what we're building on with that is we are making that network accessible to our students here. Whether they grew up in this area or not, we're putting those connections together. We're getting our students out into those schools earlier than we ever had before. We have them out as early as their first semester now. And along the lines of innovation and really making an impact in those schools, we've developed some really fantastic field experience. The one that comes to mind is we have a year-long residency program for students in our education program, should they choose to go that path, where they will spend their entire senior year in a school. We put them in between different classrooms to give them some varied experience, but those students are getting on-the-job training, a whole year's worth of it, with a great safety net and support system before going out and applying for that first job. The students coming out of that particular track, they usually walk into positions before they even graduate, which is fantastic. And that has gotten us noticed. We started that residency off the Clarion campus. We are piloting a brand new version of that off of our Edinboro campus. And the next iteration will be down at the Cal campus. Schools are asking us to do this because we are in a nationwide teacher shortage, and we want to fulfill that need, and we especially want to fill that need with our PennWest students. Education is strong. We have great faculty, great students, great programs, and we're going to continue those relationships. We have a brand new Center for Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies, which happens to be run by one of our education professors. So that unique relationship that provides us another pathway. That is a pivotal need in schools right now in all subject areas. It's here to stay, and we need to learn how to work within that system and how to help to engage and drive students for responsible use of AI as they move through their schooling, because they're going to use it for the rest of their careers now. And we're excited to be on the front edge of that. So things are looking very bright for the School of Education.
Thank you very much, Tim. What a great overview. I'm glad we're on the forefront of that technology, which would be so fascinating to see how that plays out in all of the disciplines. Greg, talk to us about your future goals for the School of Nursing, as it's one of the things in your broad portfolio.
Yeah, I think for us, it's about student experience and about partnerships with the community. We have a pretty in-depth nursing program already with pathways for students all the way from the ASN to the DNP. We're working on accelerated pathways from ASN to MSN. We're working on accelerated pathways from dual enrollment for high school students to then go to get a bachelor's degree and pick up an ASN along the way. We're working on an accelerated post-bac program. So I think within the next year, we'll have a lot more pathways than we even have right now for students looking to come into our nursing program. We continually look at ways of changing our programming to make it more attractive to students and to get them to the profession as quickly as we can, while preparing them as best as we can for the skills that they need and for passing the NCLEX exams. We have our SANE grant, which is to educate nurses on for sexual assault victims. That's been a huge addition to our array of programming and will continue to be. As I mentioned earlier, we're working with PA Thrive. And as we start the School of Nursing and launch that, we're working on creating a mission to help serve the homeless population, starting with the Erie community and then moving that to underserved, more rural populations in the future, to get into the community and provide that service with our nursing and PA Thrive programs working together. We've worked with UPMC and with Allegheny Health Network, and will continue to do so. One example of that is our TAPS program through Allegheny Health Network, where we were able to work with them to help launch an ASN program at Edinboro that just started this fall with an initial strong cohort of students. I think the other thing that we'll continue to do over the next year is look at how we continue to create simulation opportunities for students to get trained, and making sure that we have a wide variety of those opportunities for students so that when they enter clinical practice, they feel very prepared to do so. And then they transition seamlessly into their work settings. I think, as we look at the future of the School of Nursing, we already have a very strong program. We have a strong faculty and student base. I think it will only get stronger as we put more emphasis and focus on it. I'm excited about the future for the school and how it lives within our college as well, because I think it provides so many unique opportunities for that professional collaboration that will make both the School of Nursing and our other departments even stronger than they are now.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig. Well, Anise, Tim, and Craig, this has been so enjoyable to bring you out from behind the scenes and hear a little bit about how you operate in the schools and the things that you do to make it a seamless experience for faculty and students in and outside the classroom, and especially all the experiential learning you provide. So thank you very much for joining us today on the Power of PennWest podcast. I think all our community looks forward to seeing what these schools will do, and we have full confidence that they will be fantastic because of your leadership and the people that we get to work with on a daily basis. So thanks for joining us today. It's been great to have you on the Power of PennWest podcast.